The biggest problem I know I'll have with this show is that many people might get offended by my opinions, and understandably so. Unlike commercial products, there's nothing to be lost with fan-made things, such as fics or pictures. In a sense, it's more of a hobby to people, so to criticize them is rather controversial in a sense. Of course, that won't be the case here because I won't give a review on fan-made content. Only a highlight and description. Fandom Fantasia is basically a show that talks about topics and creations from different fandoms, but not to criticize or say what is wrong about them, unless the problem is glaringly obvious or if the problem is seriously bad. Now when it comes to webcomics, they are mostly hobbies maintained by the artists, but there are some comics that can be directly related to fandom. Which is why for this summer, I wanted to talk about 3 different webcomics that are linked to the furry fandom. See how well that goes then? Three, two, one. Graphics. I can tell some of you aren't particularly interested in furries. Perhaps even hate them. But this is Fandom Fantasia. So they are bound to be mentioned. What you see is what you get basically. Now the first of the comics I wanted to talk about is Concession, a webcomic by Imella? Fuck it, he's Immy. Now, a common thing about the comics I'm doing is that I followed them pretty well. I remember seeing the last page and going, wow, what the fuck just happened? Yeah, I might sound like a hypocrite right now, but the thing is that Concession's story is a little, well, complicated to say the least. It started as just a bunch of unthrow characters working at a theater. Sounds simple enough, right? Well, let's just say that Immy wanted to mix things up a little. You might know it as Tim Buckley syndrome. What the comic starts with is drastically different to what it ends. In more ways than one. One character you'll notice is Joel, a wolf, who is basically a gigantic prick. He was like that at the start, but it was amusing then. But now after the end, he's just violent god-awful. Seriously, the guy has some supernatural power from his dead twin sister who he thinks his brother killed, and he wants revenge on him, but first he needs to create a network of sorts by making people miserable to give him power. Yeah. There's a mouse called Artie who also has a power and is made out to maybe be the good guy. But then things happen, such as his bout with brain cancer, a pedo drug rape by Joel, hook up with an unthrow dolphin that contacted him through his dream, who gets him into this crazy religion, and then she get killed by her crazy brother-in-law. And then Artie uses his power to destroy an entire city. Yeah. So if you haven't guessed, the story of Concession could compete with Homestuck in terms of what the fuckery. Oh yeah. There was also a cat named Matt who acts first a Christian goody two-shoes but halfway through starts taking wolf knot up the ass like a champ. What? I'll admit that Concession is a little odd. Very odd, but I followed it to the end to see if something can make sense of this. And, well, Joel decides to fight his brother only to find that, shock, his brother had nothing to do with his sister's death. Oh yeah, and Artie and Joel fight and Artie win, but then Joel is in hospital and Artie is like, we need to finish him, and Matt is like, no, cause you're a prick. And that's it. Sigh. I know I'm sounding like a hypocrite right now when I said I wouldn't criticize. Well, Concession did win the IRC Major Award for Best Graphic Story in 2009. Cough. And despite my gripes on the story, I still looked forward to the next update to see what happens next. So there's some appeal right there. And despite me not liking most of the characters in it, there were 2 characters I really liked. Liked him the priest. I liked him. He was cool. He was basically the example of a good Samaritan. You could sit down with this guy and tell him your problems and he'd listen. There was also Valley Jansen, who managed to gain my likeness for him over the course of the comic. First off, he was hired by some bitch, I think, to go rape and impregnate someone. Which was lost some points for me, but he had a sick daughter who he needed the money for. And she died either way, so he went and exposed his employer, and that caused a problem in Joel's dumbest plan, which gained him a few points from me. Then he saved his rape baby daughter from some cult. Just go along with it, only to get shot and killed afterward. And lastly, the biggest moment that gained him my love and respect for him. A bit overhyped maybe, but I liked Immy's other work such as Ballerina Mafia, which is awesome. And he's doing a new comic about furry astronauts and a sentient licorice thing. To be honest, I think Ballerina Mafia and the Black Dogs is what Concession should have been, because Concession reads like 2 different comics being pushed together as one being a humorous comic taking place in a theater and the other a serious supernatural drama. The tone in a lot of story arcs tend to shift from humor to drama at almost breakneck speeds. But who am I to say, really? I'm just an artificial mechanical life form who liked and followed Immy. And after this episode, I guess you could say I still do. Anyway, I wanna end this by saying congratulations to Joel Callie for winning the greatest prize of all time. The biggest douche of the universe. Congratulations.
Here he is, the biggest douche of the universe. In all the galaxies, there's no bigger douche than you. You've reached the top, the pinnacle of douchedom. Good going, douche, your dreams have come true.
Fuck you.